Rain hammered against the windows of the old highway diner as if the sky itself were breaking apart. Inside, the fluorescent lights flickered over formica tables worn smooth by time. It was near closing, the hour when silence wrapped around the place like a tired blanket, yet something in the air felt charged, as if fate had quietly pulled up a chair. On a cold, metal wheelchair near the corner booth sat an elderly man wrapped in a thin blanket, shivering slightly from the storm he had just escaped. Beside him, a young waitress named Mara gently lifted a steaming spoon of soup to his lips, her hands trembling from exhaustion but her face full of quiet compassion. She didn't know that at that exact moment, a billionaire named Rowan Hale was stepping through the doorway, nor that what he saw would change both of their lives forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. And before you continue, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Mara had been working double shifts for weeks, trying to keep afloat after her mother's medical bills swallowed everything she owned. She had no family left besides memories and a stubborn hope that one day life might soften its grip. Even on days when her feet ached and her eyes stung from lack of sleep, she carried an unspoken promise: no one under her care would ever feel abandoned. That night, when she found the elderly man sitting alone outside in the rain, confused and unable to speak clearly, she didn't hesitate. She wheeled him inside, wrapped him in the only spare blanket, and warmed a bowl of soup even though the diner kitchen had already closed. She had no idea who he was, only that he needed kindness. Rowan Hale had come to the diner to escape a boardroom full of people who pretended to admire him but never truly saw him. His wealth was a fortress, yet it was also a cage that kept the world at a distance. His father, Aldrich Hale, had once been the strongest man Rowan knew, sharp-minded, unshakable, a self-made entrepreneur who taught Rowan the meaning of ambition. But illness had taken Aldrich's strength, leaving his memory scattered like leaves on a forgotten sidewalk. Rowan had hired the best caregivers money could buy, yet nothing ever seemed good enough. On the night Aldrich wandered away from the private facility, Rowan had been consumed with guilt and panic, following every lead until it brought him here, to this quiet diner on the outskirts of the city. When Rowan stepped inside, soaked from the storm, his breath caught at the sight before him. His father, his proud, dignified father, was resting in a wheelchair, wrapped tenderly in a blanket that did not belong to him. And the woman feeding him, a simple waitress with weary eyes and a gentle posture, was offering more tenderness than Rowan had seen given to his father in months. She wasn't rushing. She wasn't treating him like a burden. Her expression held a softness Rowan had almost forgotten existed. Mara didn't notice Rowan at first. She was too focused on making sure the old man swallowed without choking, whispering comforting words despite knowing he might not fully understand. Rowan watched as his father's trembling eased, as his expression softened, as the warmth of the soup and Mara's kindness seemed to reach places medicine could not. Something inside Rowan cracked open, a mixture of guilt, gratitude, and realization. Money could purchase care, but it could never buy compassion like this. When Mara finally looked up, she didn't recognize Rowan Hale, the billionaire, the empire builder, the man whose face filled magazines. She only saw a worried son. She apologized for helping without permission, explaining that the old man had been shivering outside, and she couldn't leave him alone. Her voice shook, afraid she might be reprimanded, but Rowan instead felt an overwhelming rush of admiration. He saw the dark circles under her eyes, the tired slump in her shoulders, and yet she had chosen kindness anyway. In that moment, he realized that this stranger had given his father something priceless: dignity. As the storm outside eased, Rowan helped Mara lift Aldrich gently into the luxury car he had arrived in. But he didn't want to leave things as they were. He needed to understand the woman who had shown his father such unconditional humanity. Over late-night coffee inside the diner, while Aldrich rested peacefully in the car with a caregiver Rowan had called, Mara reluctantly shared her story. She spoke of financial struggles, of caring for a sick mother who eventually passed, of working non-stop just to stay afloat. She tried to smile through it, but Rowan could hear the fatigue beneath every word. Something shifted in Rowan that night. For years, he had surrounded himself with people who saw only his wealth, people who wanted something from him. But here, in a tiny diner with flickering lights, he saw a different kind of richness, a goodness that required no reward. And for the first time in a long while, he felt moved to act not as a billionaire, but as a human being. The next morning, Rowan returned to the diner, not with an entourage, not with cameras, but with a quiet conviction. He offered Mara a full scholarship to pursue the nursing career she had given up on after her mother's illness drained their savings. He paid off her debts, restored her late mother's home that she had been forced to relinquish, and arranged flexible hours at a medical facility so she could work while studying. Mara tried to refuse at first, overwhelmed, but Rowan gently insisted. This wasn't charity, it was gratitude. He told her that she had shown him what true compassion looked like, and he wanted her to have the chance to spread that kindness to others. Weeks passed, and Mara's life transformed. She studied with passion, inspired not by obligation but by purpose. Aldrich's condition stabilized, and whenever Mara visited him, he seemed calmer, sometimes even recognizing her with a faint, grateful smile. Rowan, too, began to heal in ways he hadn't expected. He found himself spending more time with his father, rediscovering a tenderness he had long buried under deadlines and responsibilities. Mara's kindness had rippled outward, touching both their lives in ways none of them could have foreseen. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more inspiring stories like this. Before we end, we'd love to hear from you. Which moment in this story moved you the most? Tell us in the comments below. And so, in a world often hardened by circumstance, one act of kindness in a small diner on a stormy night became the spark that changed 3 lives forever.